Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this 2007 Renault Master based Knaus motorhome. So it's a Knaus 650 and I'll show you through the inside of the van in just a minute. The actual model is a Sun TI, but it's a Sun TI 650. But anyway, so what I'll do is I'll start under the bonnet and then I'll walk my way around and end up getting onto the inside where I can show you the more important parts really inside. So over on the left hand side we've got your fuel filter and fuel priming bulb just over there. You've then got your brake fluid attached to the servo just behind it there, power steering fluid and your washer fluid. The engine oil filling point is this one just here, and your engine oil dipstick is the yellow topped one just down here. We've then got the engine coolant reservoir up here, and your air filter sits underneath inside this box. Other than that, the only other things you need to know of really is that you've got your positive terminal here for your engine battery. So if you want to do jump start the vehicle, you've got a positive terminal for doing that there, and your negative terminal is basically just going to be an earth anywhere. So these two up here will be decent earths. Normally there'll be there you go, there's a nice little earth just down there. So they are your jump starting points. The reason that they put them there under the bonnet, like a lot of these newer vans, is because the engine battery itself sits under the floor down here. So if you were in a bit of a desperate need to jump start the vehicle, you don't want to have to be clambering around trying to take all this apart to get to the battery. So that's why they give you that positive terminal under the bonnet there, so you can really easily get to that if you are in a bit of need. The bonnet release handle is just down here inside the passenger door. And I think that's about it for under the bonnet, so I'll leave that up for now, but there you go. So the next one we get to, the next sort of thing we get to, if you like, is going to be your fresh water filling point. So fresh water goes in just there, and the tank itself will be underneath this forward facing seat, which I'll point out to you when we get inside. You can see all the stickers on here looking really nice, no sort of nasty bits out of them or anything like that. Really nice condition. So this one here is going to be our hookup. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, it's really helpful to have that plugged in. I'll explain that in proper detail when we get inside. So I'm just going to open up this locker here, which I've forgotten to do. Whilst we're just doing that as well, I will just say the majority, or pretty much everything on the outside of this vehicle, apart from the front doors, obviously the Renault side of things, is opened by this key. All right, so you've got one on this main set and one on the spare set, but this goes into any of these little circular points just here. So to unlock these, you put the key in and twist it whichever way it will go. You will then be able to push it in, and you have to push them both in at the same time. All right, so once you've got that open, you've got your toilet cassette. So the cassette comes out really easy. You've got a little handle at the bottom, and you pull the cassette towards you. You'll then be able to take that completely out and empty it out wherever you are. So this is your emptying point. So you empty from here, and whilst you're actually emptying that out, hold down this little yellow button at the back. Push it all the way back home like that until it clicks, and that's it. Very easy. Okay, let's just see if there's anything else underneath. Don't think there is. All right, so we've got your reversing camera and your bike rack just there. Huge garage locker here, so you've got loads of storage underneath the bed here. A few bits and pieces that the previous owner has left behind as well, which is nice. We'll just see down underneath. Nope. Just there. So the waste drain off point will be somewhere around the outside. I'll have to have a little look for that in a minute and see if I can find that. I didn't do the hab check on this particular vehicle, so it's kind of new to me, but there we go. Right, so the next locker we're going to come to is going to be your gas locker here. So previous owner did have gas low bottles fitted, took them with them when they moved over to the new vehicles. So we've reinstated the gas low bottles. You can see 2 gas low bottles in there. So to turn the bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and you can do that on both of those. The one at the back isn't actually connected up to the regulator at the moment, so I wouldn't bother with the one at the back. But this one here is the one that is powering the inside of the vehicle. So your filling point, if I just push this in here, sorry about all the noise, but got the jet wash on. So the filling point is just here. So any sort of petrol station or anything like that that has the refillable gas, the LPG, that goes in there. You will need a few adapters and things. If you're going to go abroad, you will need adapters depending on what country you're going to. But there you go. So this little vent just here, this is your Truma vent, which is your boiler vent. So if you've got the boiler lit up on gas or you've got it working anyway, you will feel hot air coming out through the bottom of this, so just be careful on that. Awning light just here, as you can see, underneath your Fiamma F45 awning. So obviously the idea behind that being that your awning would be out, you've got the awning light just there so you can see what you're doing down here. Right, so as I say, I'll get into the inside of the van with you in just a minute and show you around what we've got in there, but I'll just carry on here for a moment. So your diesel filling point is just here behind the driver's door, and you will need your ignition key to get that to open up. So if I just show you that quickly, ignition key goes in, twist it, and it will just come out on the key. Easy as that. So in the cab, as I mentioned, you've got the reversing camera. So the reversing camera is that one just there. You then also got quite a nice spec in this one. So you've got the air conditioning from that switch just there. You've got the, obviously you can set where the air goes to, and temperature and fan speed. You've got your hazard warning light just there. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox, which is always nice. JVC single din head unit just there. What else? We've got the electric adjusting mirrors, so you can choose which mirror you want to move just by turning it here, and then literally just move this around like a joystick depending on where you want the mirror to go. And that's about it really for under the bonnet, to be fair. So what I will do is I'll just jump into the back end of the van now and just show you what we've got in here. So the layout is one of the most sort of, one of the biggest selling points really of this particular van, apart from the fact that it's a Knaus and they are one of the best built vehicles that you can buy. The layout is really, really good. So you've got this extendable and drop down table just here. So you've got the option here of having the 2 people sitting in the back here with proper over the shoulder seat belts. You can turn this front area here into a bed as well. You've got the infill cushions in the garage for doing that if you want to. You don't have to do that, obviously, but you do have the option there. The bed in the back is a French bed, and the reason they call it a French bed is because you've got this little section here cut off to allow you access to the bathroom, so that's why that's there. And more access just there to the garage, and if I just get down a little bit, I think, yeah, sorry, one second, I'm just trying to see because it's quite dark in there. You have got your boiler drain down point. Now you probably can't see it very well on the video, but you probably just about see it. The little red tab that you can see just there, basically if that tab is down, then all the water from inside the boiler will be draining out onto the floor, and if it's up, as in if you've pulled it up, then any water that goes towards the boiler will stay inside of it. So the majority of the time when you're using the vehicle, you're going to want that drain off point to be pulled up. So yeah, that's that. Probably get to it from in there, but got the mattresses on it at the moment. So that's where your boiler drain off point, that is quite important actually. You do also have this cool little drop down point here for a telly, if you did have a TV that you could put onto that. And then the rest of it is going to be sort of me showing you through the appliances. So the first thing I'm going to run you through is going to be inside this little cupboard here. So we've got the solar controller. So you haven't got to do anything with that whatsoever. You haven't got to turn it on, you haven't got to do anything at all. Basically what it's doing is it's giving you 3 lights. So the one on the left hand side is basically just telling you that the solar panel is working, and yes, there is sunlight on the roof. So that's just solid green, that's just telling you that the solar panel itself is good. The next one along, the middle one and the one to the right, are just telling you what the batteries are doing. So it's flashing green at the moment, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it does say there, green flashing means that the batteries are full. So if you had a steady green light on those, you'd have normal, and then so on. You can see there what they all mean. So as I say, you haven't got to do anything with that. It's just so that, you know, they put it there. We haven't fitted this. This was fitted when we got the vehicle, to be fair. But you can just see really easily, you know, what's going on with your batteries. Now, obviously, you can also see on these little switches just here, you can see the battery voltages nice and easily like that as well. You can go on there and double check those. Battery 1 is your engine battery. Battery 2 is your leisure battery. So if you ever wanted to double check the battery voltages, you can do that from here as well. Otherwise, the control panel, you've basically got a main power switch at the top, water pump switch just here. So when you turn this on and off, it basically just tells the water pump when it can work and when it can't. Because you've got a submersible water pump, when you turn the switch on just there, it won't actually run the pump. It only runs the pump when you turn the tap on. Okay, so the pump will not do anything at all until you tell it to by opening this tap up. All right, so don't worry too much about the fact that, you know, in case you think that sometimes with the inline pumps, like the other type of pump, when you turn this switch on, you know, every now and again you might find that the pump has been running on without you knowing, and it might burn it out. But in this case, because the pump will only run when you actually open the tap up, you don't have to worry about that. So you can just switch that on and go and use the taps whenever you want to. So you've then got the last two things on here are the water level checkers. Obviously it's telling you there that both tanks are empty because it's not showing us anything at all on these gauges. So you've got fresh at the top, waste at the bottom. So the rest of the buttons are literally just lights, basically. So you just go through there and just make sure that you can, you know, just choose which lights you do and you don't like. You know, there might be some that you think are too bright or whatever, and you can choose, you know, just go through there at your own leisure. So from that, I'm just going to run through a few of the appliances. So we've got obviously the sink there with a hot and cold tap. I don't have to explain that because it's literally just right for cold, left for hot, nothing else to it. The only thing I would say is that in regards to the boiler, if you find that you know, I mean, I know that I've shown you that boiler drain off point just down there, but before you actually use the boiler, really, you should be checking that the boiler's full of water. So when you do that, or the way that you do it, is by opening the tap up over to the left-hand side there on the hot, and you basically just wait for the water to come through nice and clearly. Now, obviously, we haven't got enough water in the tank at the moment, as I've shown you there at the control panel. But the idea behind it is that if the boiler isn't completely full of water, no water will come through the tap on the hot side, and that's because the boiler is the first thing in line for any water on the hot side of the tap. Okay, if you open the tap up on the hot side of the tap and the water comes straight through, no problems at all, there's no air, there's no coughing, spluttering coming out, that's it, you're good to go. If for any reason you open the tap up and you cannot get any water to come through just there, you need to make sure that your boiler drain is lifted up, first thing. Obviously, also make sure you've got some water in the tank. But yeah, so just make sure that, just check that you've got water coming through on the hot side of the tap, just to double check that the boiler is definitely full. And as I say, if it's not, you just make sure your boiler drain is lifted up and just wait for the water to come through nice and clear. You've got a 3-burner hob on here. There is no ignition, I don't think. No ignition on those. So you will need one of those sort of long reach lighters to light these 3 up. We do have them here in the shop if you did want to buy one whilst you're here, but that is what you'll need to light these up. Only thing I would say is please don't, well, 2 things. Obviously, don't put the glass lid down whilst one of the flames is on. I know that's obvious, but you know, I do have to say that. And the other thing is that not only do you not, you know, put the lid down whilst the flame's actually on, you need to make sure that you allow these to cool down before you start putting the lid down as well. If you just literally been using this for 10 minutes or so, heating some water up or whatever, and then you turn it off and then straight away you put the glass lid down, I can pretty much guarantee you that this lid will shatter. Now they are hardened glass, obviously they are, proper, but it's really good practice to allow these to cool down a little bit before you put the lid down. It's not the end of the world if they do shatter, although I will say that this is a specific shape and it is Knaus branded, so it would be a little bit tricky to get hold of a new one, but anyway, there you go. Right, so underneath that we've got your gas isolators for the oven and grill and 3-burner hob, and obviously a cutlery tray there as well. Your oven and grill, so again you will need an ignition of some sort to light these up. But basically you push in and around to the right for the grill, in and around to the left for the oven, obviously whilst using your ignition. And yeah, there's really not much to it, to be fair. I don't tend to spend much time talking through the cooking side of things, because it's just like any household appliances, to be fair. There's nothing tricky about it. So you've got absolutely loads of storage through here underneath this cupboard. Everything is looking in really nice condition as well. Sometimes when you get into these sort of dark and dingy places like this, where it's not opened up for a little while, you can find that there can be a little bit mildewy and a little bit sort of, not damp, but you know what I mean, like a bit mildewy and a bit sort of closed up. But this one is absolutely lovely. It's been really well kept. It's all nice and clean in there. So yeah, it's always a good sign of a well-loved vehicle. Okay, so the next two things are going to be the boiler and the fridge. So I'm going to run you through the boiler controls first. So you've got a Trumatic E boiler on this one. So it's Trumatic C, but basically you've got the option of using it on gas or electric, or both at the same time. So when I say electric, I do mean when you're hooked up on the mains. So the way that you use it on electric will not do anything at all unless you're hooked up on the mains, and we'll just point that out straight away. But essentially what you've got is you've got a dial at the bottom just here which tells the boiler what energy to use, and you've got the dial at the top which tells the boiler what to actually do. So if I wanted to use the boiler on gas only, I would leave this dial here exactly where it is, because that one there is your little gas symbol. If I went up 1 or up 2, that would be using electric only on either 4 amps or 8 amps of electricity. All right, so gas only, and then electric 1 or 2. You do then have the option of electric and gas at the same time, just by going down 1 or down 2. But to be honest, I would always just use it one or the other. There's not really any need for using both at the same time, I wouldn't say. But that is all this bottom one does. You don't have to match these two up or anything like that. You literally just use this one to tell the boiler what energy to use, and this one up here to tell it what to do. So let's just say, right now we've only got the gas on. I don't have the electric hookup plugged in, so I cannot use it on the electric, and I can't use it down 1 or 2. So I have to leave it in the middle anyway. The one at the top here is your sort of selector for the boiler, telling the boiler what to do. So if I wanted hot water only, I didn't want any heating, I would go up 1 or up 2. Okay. If I wanted heating only, I would go down 1. And if I wanted both at the same time, I'd go down twice. So heating only is 1 down, heating and hot water is 2 down, hot water only is up. And that is it. That is honestly all there is to it. So next appliance is going to be the fridge. So you've got the Dometic automatic energy selector fridge, so an AES fridge. So you've got the freezer compartment at the top and your fridge part at the bottom. So the idea behind the AES is that you've got 3 options on the fridge. You've got 3 ways that this fridge will get cold. All right, so this is your typical three-way fridge, apart from the fact that you've got the auto function as well. So you've got gas, which is once to the right, and it will just light up. So to light it up on gas, you literally just twist once to the right and then select the temperature on the right. That is it. As long as you get a little sort of orange symbol in there and it doesn't start flashing at you, that's it. That's all you have to do. If you are hooked up on the mains, you can go once more to the right and this will light up green if your electric hookup is plugged in. And those two there are the two ways that will get the fridge cold from scratch, okay? So right now the fridge isn't cold whatsoever. So I would have to, in order to get it cold, I would have to use either mains or gas. And that's the same with every fridge, every motorhome fridge, that they make. The third one down, the 12 volt, is for when your engine is running. Okay, so if you've already pre-cooled the fridge before you're going to leave and you've started the engine up, you would then switch over to 12 volt and just literally keep it cold whilst your engine's running, and that just uses a little bit of your D+ or your engine charging signal. Otherwise, you can go down to auto and it should select gas for us now. Any minute now it should. Just having a little think about it, obviously. But basically, it would have chosen the gas for us, but that's what you've got down there. You've got the auto function. So essentially, it just means that you don't have to go through either, any of these three here and select it manually. You can just leave it on auto, and it will just do its thing. I personally, and I always say this on all of these videos, if I was you, I would do it manually. And the only reason I say that is that every once in a while, the auto function will get it wrong. And, for example, it might think that you've got the engine running and the 12 volts on, but it's not. And, it might allow it to work when it actually shouldn't be working. And then after a couple of hours or so, you go to the fridge and it won't be cold. And it's purely just down to the fact that it wasn't on the selected energy that it needed to be on. So, I just find it always good practice to do it manually, but if you wanted to leave it on auto, you can do. So, as I say, you've got the French bed at the back there. Absolutely massive wardrobe in here. You've got your 240 volt trip switches just inside there. You've also got your TV aerial and TV aerial booster inside there as well. Another huge storage locker down there. And then I'll just show you through the bathroom as well. So the bathroom itself, I very, very rarely spend much time in here because it's very straightforward. So this here, you've literally got a hot and cold tap, just like the other one in the kitchen. It's exactly the same idea with the shower, apart from the fact that you have to have the shower door pulled across to be able to see it. But I promise you, it's just literally a hot and cold tap. And then we have the toilet down here. So the toilet itself is normally the only thing I run through. So you've got a blue button on the right hand side. When you press that button in, it will start pumping around your flush fluid if you've got water in the tank. Okay, so at the moment we've got nothing in the tank, so this flush will not work. But if you did, press the blue button with the pump switch on and you'll have flush fluid pumping around. From there, when you want to drain it into the cassette, you pull this handle towards you. It opens up that flap just there and drains whatever's inside the bowl there down into the tank. Make sure you push it back away from you when you're finished, and that's it. If you don't push the flap back over again once you've finished, you won't be able to take the cassette out from the outside. It'll be locked in position. So other than that, I don't think I've missed anything out, but if I have, or if you have any questions, obviously day of collection, you're more than welcome to ask as many questions as you like, or give us a shout and I can do another little video on something. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.